Without any further ado, if you would help me in welcoming my friend, Robin Dreeke.
How are you looking? Good afternoon, everyone. And wow, yeah, what a crowd. I've done crowds before, but I've never had people picnicking in the front. So I appreciate that much. I know it's not for me because we have an amazing lineup of speakers today. And yeah, everything Chris said is absolutely true. It's, matter of fact, the greatest thing, and he mentioned the Innocent Lives Foundation, it's hands down the coolest thing I've ever been part of, and literally the day I retired is the day he called me and said, board member, right? I said, yeah, of course. So it's a great pleasure to be part of that, and so if you want any more information, we've got a booth over there. Because if not you, someone else, I mean, it really didn't matter, because I know exactly what I'm doing. My goal is always healthy relationships. So, that's the code of trust. That's what we do in our behavior if we want to inspire people to want to align with us and want to build relationships with us. Now, for the new part, which is the book coming out in January, which is friggin' done, sizing people up. Again, it's not about sizing people up and judging. It's sizing people up and really, what can I reasonably predict you're going to do? And I came up with these 6 signs, and there's I don't have time to go into all these sub-signs and the tells I have for these things, but these are 6 behavior signs that I was basically using throughout my career to understand what are you going to do? Can we have a healthy relationship? Because these are signs I'm looking at in other people to see are going to have a healthy relationship. And number 1, vesting. I'm looking for signs in vesting. Now, granted, you don't have to have all 6 signs in an individual. I mean, most people in my life have like 1, and it's really spiked really high. But that's okay. So I'm looking, 1 sign is vesting. In other words, do they see themselves helping you to move forward in things that of your priorities important in you? In other words, are they willing to give their resources freely and willingly with no expectation or reciprocity for your success? That's a sign of vesting. That's healthy. So I'm looking for signs of that. My second one, longevity. Do they see this relationship as being long-term? Or is it just something they're going to do short-term? I think this is a great example, the difference between the things I had to do for my career and maybe social engineering, kind of get bits of information. There's no longevity sign when we're doing social engineering because we're trying to get limited bits of information over a short period of time. Doesn't mean it's unhealthy, doesn't mean anything else. It's just there's no sign for it. So I'm looking for longevity in someone. In other words, someone that says, hey, I'm happy to be part of your company. My lifelong goals is to, like Chris. Chris, when he started social engineering, his lifelong goal was to build a company and continue to do these things. That's someone's got longevity. And the things, him and I talked about back in Bristol, it feels like 100 years ago. That was signs of longevity because we're talking about doing things that took 10 years to manifest. And also on this first sign of vesting, anytime I ever needed anything, anytime he ever needed anything, whatever resources you need, Chris, whatever I can take care of for you, I'm there for you. I mean, I'm just even talking about getting ILF going. I mean, there's no holds barred, except illegals, of course. We don't do anything illegal, nothing like that. But, so vesting, longevity. Third sign I'm looking for is reliability. And this takes a little time sometimes, but basically, can they do what they say they're going to do? Do they have the energy? Do they have the talent? Do they have the skill? Do they have the willingness to commit to these things? So basically, I'm looking for reliability. But here's the other thing, too. There's certain signs that are more important to me than others to have. Reliability, that's good, but there's a lot of things I can teach you to do as well. So it's an important one to have. It is a sign, but if you don't have some of the other signs, that might not work out. Sign 4 is actions. This is one of my ones. By the way, I suffer proud parent syndrome. I always talk about it, so that's why you see pictures of my kids in here. I went to the Naval Academy. My son's at the Naval Academy right now. That's him right there on the silent drill team, which I formed 30 years ago, so it's like legacy. And my daughter's a senior at George Mason University being a nurse. Yay, oh, Mason. So yeah, we cover both ends of the spectrum in my family. So actions, I love actions. Basically, past patterns of key behaviors. This is the, don't do stupid. And what's stupid? If you do the same thing again and again and again, but expect a different result, that's crazy. This is this one. If I can observe you in your activities, your actions, your patterns of behavior, 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 times, I now know exactly what you're going to do next time. And now here's what's really awesome about it. If all of a sudden your patterns of behavior shift, well, something changed in your life. Now I want to find out what that is, because in other words, a priority change in your life that caused you to have a shift in your behavior pattern. And again, no judging, just trying to figure out, because you're just observing what normal is for the human being. So this is the normalizing one, so you can reasonably expect. I mean, this is what people overinflate what they expect people to do all the time. What's one reason why people get so frustrated with people? Because they ask you to do something, and I like you to do it, and I like you, and you're a good person, but you set that bar up here. I'm a pilot. I do angel flights. I volunteer as an angel flight pilot, out of my own pocket and everything. And it's the same thing with flying. I mean, I don't know if you're a pilot, but, I like you, so I trust you to fly my plane. I throw you keys to the plane. That's a dumb thing. Because this is more easy. Past patterns of key behavior. Have you ever flown a plane before? No, so I'm not going to do that. But if I've seen you fly a plane, I know that you have a couple 100 hours, 1,000 hours. Well, I can reasonably say that you haven't crashed in 1,000 hours. You're probably not going to crash on this flight either. Again, it's looking for those past patterns of key behaviors. Language. This is where we're going to bring some of the elements of the code of trust in the first part into this. So one thing that we're trying to do with human beings to demonstrate value and affiliation is what? Seek their thoughts and opinions, talk in terms of their priorities, validate them with judgment, and empower them with choices. Now what I'm looking for is, are you doing that with me? People sometimes say to me, Robin, hey, Robin, if you're ever around someone that's actually done your training or roles like this with you, what's that like? Poetic. So I have a very good friend, my best friend that I've come to know later in life. He's a little bit older than me. We do a lot of things together. He's a chief flight instructor, and he's an engineer, and so he's like me. He wasn't born doing this, so he loves these manuals we put together. And I remember when he was selling the flight school, and he'd older made me a promise to do a few things together related to aviation. He brought me out to lunch, and in the first 3 minutes, he's seeking my thoughts and opinions, talking in terms of my priorities, giving me lots of choices. And I said, Jim, you got to stop right now. I shook his hand. I said, you are rocking this conversation. Keep going, brother. So I'm always looking for, are people seeking my thoughts and opinions, talking in terms of my priorities, validating without judgment, and empowering me with choices. So in other words, this is where we're reversing it. I'm doing my best to do it to you. Are you going to do your best to do it to me? Again, no expectation. But man, if I see people throwing that in there, absolutely love it. And sign 6. This is the other one. So past patterns of key behavior, really key with me. And this is the other one. Emotional stability. I don't do crazy brain. Crazy brain meaning I don't like emotional hijacking of myself, because what happens when you get emotionally hijacked? You fixate on a thing. I mean, we've all experienced this. So say I'm trying to do a thing. I'm trying to accomplish this. No, you're not a thing. You're a person. But you're trying to get this thing done. And you start beating your head against the wall, and getting what happens when it's not working? I gotta smash in that door harder, and you get resentment, frustration, discontentment, anger, emotional hijacking. Are you thinking clearly? And you ever get to that point where you're trying to do it, and all of a sudden you just screw it and let go? Oh, the answer was over here. Did you ever have that? And who brought you the answer? Another relationship. So here's what happens. When you get emotional hijacking, crazy brain going, you now become oblivious to every other relationship that could bring you that answer. The second I get my own emotional instability going, I immediately back up and say, I give a little knock on the door that might be closed and say, hello. And it's closed. I immediately step back and I go to every single healthy relationship in my life. I say, guys, folks, I'm trying to get over there. Any ideas? And all of a sudden I get these brilliant, majestic ideas coming from all these different directions through relationships. So if I see someone that's constantly getting emotionally hijacked and unable to regulate, I kind of take a step back. It's like, you're not ready to have a healthy relationship today. And also, I get very particular on it. Maybe just in this one lane. You're just really angry about this stuff. But over here, if we talk about this, you're a completely happy, good guy. Okay, then we'll just deal right here. So I'm very, very, in other words, just because you're one way with this doesn't mean I'm going to ostracize or disconnect on this, because every human being is different in different areas. Here's the other thing too. Is anyone in this room the same person you were 5 years ago? 10 years ago? How about a month ago? We start getting closer. Life's a journey, not a destination. I never held yesterday against you for today. Because again, that's resentment, that's anger, that's discontentment. I do not do emotional crazy, because it just brings nothing of trust, nothing of relationships. So just always ask yourself, as you get one of those emotional hijacking moments, ask yourself, is what I'm about to do or say going to help or hinder me moving forward? I can tell you it never worked for me. So, I did the impossible. I finished a little early, and I wanted to. So I'm going to talk about a few things coming up, and also I want to leave times for any questions you all might have. So.